He told Kyle about gay youth websites and introduced him to out music groups like Size Queen and Indigo Girls. The most amazing thing was how Nelson talked about all this stuff in front of his own mom. He even subscribed to XY magazine for him.
Yes!
How did you ever tell her? Kyle wanted to know. Nelson lit a cigarette.
You kidding? She knew before I did. I'm her fucking cause.
Kyle thought about it. And your dad? Nelson's face darkened behind a puff of smoke.
Never mind him.
When the subject changed to boys, Kyle confided he had a crush on a boy at school. He even admitted that he kissed his pillow at night, pretending it was him.
Oh my god.
You guys, I was gonna do that with a straight face. You messed me up, God. Okay. Nelson took a drag on his cigarette. What's his name?
What's his name?
Promise you won't tell. Kyle hesitated. Jason Carrillo. Nelson burst out coughing.
Carrillo! Ding ding ding! Gaydar, closet case, big time, at least bye.
Kyle felt as if Nelson had just smacked him. Shut up! He is not. How do you know? Nelson grinned.
The same way I knew about you.
Wow. Stalker. Now Kyle thought back on it. Maybe Nelson had been right about Jason, but everyone knew Jason had a girlfriend. Last year they'd been voted cutest couple. This year Deborah was running for homecoming queen. I wish I could. Jason couldn't be gay, but then why had he shown up at the Rainbow Youth meeting? Maybe he was bi, but even if he was, Jason would never be interested in him. He'd probably walked in by mistake, like he said, but Kyle hoped he hadn't. His mom tapped on the doorway of his bedroom, smiling.
Honey, are you sure you're feeling all right?
She raised her eyebrows.
I've called you to dinner 3 times already.
The high point of the meal was a phone call from Nelson. Kyle's dad picked up his knife and cut into his beef. His beef.
Doesn't he know not to call it dinner time?
His mom extended the receiver to Kyle. Without even saying hello, Nelson started talking.
Where did you go?
Kyle turned away from his parents. None of your business.
Stop being such a drama diva. Come on. What do you want to do tonight?
I didn't mean to make it so
Yeah. Kyle pondered for a moment. Slip my wrists. Nelson sighed.
Yeah, and after that?
I don't know, Kyle said. I don't know. He slammed the receiver down and turned to the table.
Sounds like you had a fight.
His mom said. Kyle nodded tentatively and sat down. His dad stabbed a piece of meat with his fork. Why does he have to call you every 5 minutes? Doesn't he have a life? His dad waved his wrist in the air. Maybe you should develop some friends that are less, that are more. His hand took a nosedive and thundered onto the table. Athletic! Kyle's mom glared at his dad and tugged on her ear. Kyle had figured out years ago that this was a signal for his dad to lay off. It usually took his dad a while to catch on, and tonight Kyle didn't feel like waiting. He grabbed his cap from the back of his chair. Can I be excused? Back in his bedroom, Kyle tried some homework, then scanned Jason's yearbook photo into his computer. He turned off his lights and rolled over in bed. His mind shifted to images of Jason in the locker room of 10th grade gym class, his biceps bulging against his t-shirt sleeves, his butt framed by his jockstrap. Kyle wrapped his arm around his pillow and, smiling, fell asleep. The following Monday, Kyle arrived at school early, determined to find Jason and apologize about Nelson. But Jason was nowhere to be found. As Kyle watched for him outside the cafeteria at lunch, he heard Nelson's voice come up behind him.
I made you a tape of the new Pansy division.
Nelson held out a cassette.
Truly gorgeous.
Thanks! Kyle slipped the tape into his pocket, hoping Nelson would leave before Jason showed up. Nelson's face brightened.
You going to lunch?
Not hungry. You go ahead. But Nelson didn't budge. He stuck a finger into his blonde hair and scratched.
You still upset about Saturday?
No, Kyle lied. Look, just leave me alone.
I'm sorry for the 1000th fucking time.
Kyle turned away.
Fine.
Nelson said.
If you're going to be a dick about it.
He strode off. Kyle didn't see Jason at lunch or for the rest of the afternoon. When the last bell rang, he sulked toward his locker. Maybe Jason was sick, or more likely, too embarrassed to come to school. Kyle tossed his book into his locker, then closed the door. There stood Jason, clutching his red backpack across his shoulder.
What's up?
Startled, Kyle pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose. Hi. Jason twisted his backpack strap in his hand and looked over his shoulder, taking a sweeping glance of the thinning crowd of students.
I kept stopping by here looking for you today.
He cocked his head, a caring look. I thought maybe you were sick. Kyle melted beneath Jason's brown eyes.
I'm sorry.
He said, though he wasn't certain why he was apologizing.
That's what I thought. I mean...
He didn't know what he was saying, only that he was making a fool of himself. He shut his mouth and forced a smile.
Listen.
Jason swallowed and his Adam's apple bobbed in his throat. He looked left, then right, then stared at Kyle.
About last Saturday, I wasn't sure what kind of meeting it was.
Kyle knew it was a lie, but nodded politely. What else could he do? Jason continued, his voice low.
You haven't told anyone, have you? I mean, that you saw me there.
Kyle saw the fear and shame in Jason's face. Of course not. I wouldn't tell anyone. Jason let out a sigh, but then added,
You don't think Nelson will tell anyone, do you?
Kyle didn't think so, but Jason's worry made him worry too. Abruptly, Jason drew back, gazing behind Kyle. Kyle turned and saw Jebra Weiler, Jason's girlfriend. Dun dun dun.
Hi, Kyle!
She gave him a sweet smile, and Kyle said hi back. But Jason looked scared, senseless. Kyle realized he'd better leave. Well, I'll see you later.
Later.
Jason said, and smiled a forced, worried smile. Kyle stepped down the hall, picking up his pace. God damn it, I can't read. He had to find Nelson and make sure he didn't tell anyone about Jason. He hoped it wasn't too late.
Okay, guys, this is Nelson. Next chapter is mine. So just letting you know, I'm totally not going to tell anyone about Jason being, like, you know, a homosexual, well, except for Deborah and Kyle. And, well, wait, Kyle already knew. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. Shut up.